Hi everybody, this is Jesi from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm doing a bit of review and discussion of one of my more recent books that I've come to just love, called The Utterly Uninteresting and Unadventurous Tales of Fred the Vampire Accountant. This is the first book in the series, and definitely what hooked me. As I'm sure you can tell, the title alone is rather long, but it catches your attention, and that is definitely why I went after the book to begin with, because, I mean, it claims it's boring, and how can a book that claims it's boring actually be boring? So I picked it up, and I had it for, about 2 or 3 months before I actually got to reading it, and I'm actually a little disappointed in myself for waiting that long. I loved it. I'm actually already halfway through, or no, 3/4 through, done with the third out of, I'm aware of 4, in the Fred Vampire Accountant series. So, highly recommended. It's definitely one of those books that it's just an easy, enjoyable read. So, I mean, I gave my review on Goodreads 5 stars because, again, short, enjoyable, very simple to understand. And just the way the book is written is kind of written as if it's from the memoirs of Fred. And therefore, it's a bunch of little stories in one instead of just one big story. You don't actually have to read the books in order because he does kind of recap a little bit on who he is and who the people are. But, I mean, he changes the names to protect the innocent, just like, you would if you were reading an account of things. And it's a very witty book, so I do highly recommend it for those who enjoy paranormal stories, especially more laid-back ones, nothing that's too over the top. Moving on to a little bit more of a discussion about it, where I am going to kind of give away some bits and pieces of the story, so if you plan on reading it, stop watching right here. That's my review. Don't go anymore. I'm going to talk about a little bit why I think the book grasped me the way that it did. And I brought some wine with me. I thought it was a little appropriate, vampire wine with some cheese, because Fred, before he passed away and became a vampire, liked some of the finer things in life, which included fine wine and cheese, nice delicacies, and in a way he kind of felt that made him boring. He was an accountant, he didn't go anywhere, he stayed home, he ate his fine cheese, drank his fine wine, enjoyed the simple pleasures in life, the elegant pleasures, and he was accidentally turned into a vampire, and just kind of left to fend for himself. And when he finally got past that, hey, okay, I'm a vampire now, what do? He just went back to living his life the way he normally did. He still enjoyed the fine cheeses, even though it had no nutritional value for him anymore. He still enjoyed the wines, even though, again, he couldn't get drunk off of them or anything. It was just something that he enjoyed doing. He meets various characters throughout his stories that, really help him grow. And when we start off, especially in the first book, Fred has this sense of flight all the time. Anytime something might even be considered slightly dangerous, he wants nothing to do with it. He runs at the first sign of trouble, doesn't confront anybody differently, very non-confrontational. Whereas as we get closer to the end of the book, we find that he's doing more for himself. He's gotten a little bit more confidence, a little bit more he accepts his abilities as a vampire a little bit more, which, make him into a better person. And again, puts him on more adventures that are definitely not uninteresting and unadventurous. They are a lot of fun. And the character development with Fred, I think, really, it happens slowly, and you can see it happening, because being that these are written in a sort of way that they are his memoirs, he takes you through his thinking process. And even though he's a little witty and sarcastic, you know, you can see how he's thinking, okay, well, instead of running, maybe I should help these people. I have the ability to help these people, so why not? And you can see that in the different stories as we go further along in his life. Just, again, that confidence, you know, coming up. And it's beautiful story. At least with character development. I don't say that a lot about stories. I think character development is really something that is, you have to have a talent for it. It's not, you know, very easily done. So I think Drew Hayes did an excellent job, you know, kind of keeping the character the same with his, you know, what he enjoys. He's not, if you take the third book and compare Fred from the third book to the first book, you know, he's still the same Fred. But you can definitely notice, you know, small little differences in him. So that way when he is given choices, when he is given decisions, you know, fight or flight, you can see the difference there. That this time, you know, he's more likely to maybe stick up for himself or stick up for his friends instead of, you know, running away at the first sign of danger. And I think that's, you know, something that's really important because I feel a lot of us can relate to that. And while the other characters in the story I feel don't really change too much in that sort of sense, those other characters help Fred become, you know, a better undead person, I should say. And again, I find Fred very relatable, not just that we have, you know, kind of the same interests, but also, you know, because we use the people around us to help us be better people. And I don't know, I love that about, you know, Fred and how Drew Hayes handled Fred as the character. Like I said, my overall rating of the book, I gave 5 stars because I did really enjoy it. There wasn't really many unexpected turns or twists, which normally I like that in a book. And there's not too many details, which is, again, something I normally like in a book. I like a lot of detail, and I like a lot of, you know, suspense and unsuspecting things. However, I found this, it was, the book series in general, everything was a little bit expected. You can't really, like, nothing really surprises you, which I found a little refreshing. Like I said, I usually like things that, you know, take me off guard, whereas, you know, I could get halfway through one of his stories, and I could be like, oh, I think this is going to happen. And sure enough, something like that happens, and it's actually kind of satisfying to want something to happen, and it actually happens. So I don't know if anybody else feels like that sometimes with other books that do, you know, take you on a quick left turn instead of a right. I actually enjoyed that, you know, it didn't send me, you know, through, you know, hoops. I find it overall a very enjoyable book. You can, the way he just, you know, references paranormal stories and books and cinema is just, he weaves it all together very beautifully, and I think it's really, really a great book. Easy read if you're looking just for something quick and a little comical. Definitely a little comical. Highly recommended. So, guys, that's Fred, the Vampire Accountant. He currently has, Drew Hayes currently has 4 books about him. The first one is the Utterly Uninteresting and Unadventurous Tales of Fred the Vampire Accountant. It's the first book in the series. Again, highly recommended. So, guys, keep reading.